Yeah, I haven't played Undertale before. I'm pretty quirky. Why? I don't know why. I sat down to play it one day, I got distracted, and then I never opened the game ever again, which may sound completely ludicrous, and maybe it is, but today I'm gonna try and learn the Undertale timeline as much as I can within 18 minutes from this video from the leaderboard. Now, this is one of the timelines. It's a true pacifist timeline.
A true pacifist timeline. And
because
this is your spoiler alert right now, because I am going to cover literally everything that happens in the game. Also,
spoiler alert, I mean, come on, I can't watch this. You're gonna spoil what happens in the game?
I know
Come on, man.
There are a lot of good theories out there, but I'm gonna be sticking to things that are strictly canon.
Okay, here we go. Learn about Undertale. What do I know about Undertale so far? Basically 3 things. Sans, Asriel, and a really, really, really good soundtrack. And also Toby Fox, that's 4 things. Sorry.
In the beginning, monsters
There's a war,
and humans
okay.
live in peace with one another and everything is chill. Humans
Awesome.
eventually grow weary of the monsters. They have good reason to, but they fear the potential power of a monster who has reaped a human soul. So
Okay,
naturally,
sure. So I assume if a monster kills a human, they become more powerful, and then the humans, doing what humans do, get a little racist.
the war breaks out, like you do. The humans claim an easy victory, and in an act of so-called
Easy
mercy,
victory?
lock the monsters away in the underground. They seal the monsters away with a magic spell, creating the barrier around Mount Ebott.
Okay, that's a pretty bad start. Humans doing a little bit of colonialism. Humans doing a little bit of locking them away underground, which if the monsters, once they reap a human soul, become more powerful, and that's why the humans were scared of them, why did the humans win so easily? Maybe there were just so many humans that it just didn't matter. The number difference is just too big.
Many years pass before the two races ever cross paths again. The life and death of Asriel.
Asriel, that's it, not Ariel. Sorry, got my Rizriels and with my, confused with my Rariels.
Asgore and Toriel Dreamer rule the monsters in the underground. Together, they have a son named Asriel Dreamer. Everything is pretty okay until Asriel discovers an injured human child named Chara, who has fallen into the underground. Yeah,
Character.
That pre-game cutscene you see there actually shows Chara falling into the underground, not Frisk. Asriel decides to bring
they're
Chara
different,
to
okay.
his home. Once there, Toriel and Asgore agree to adopt this lonely human as their own. Hope surges through the underground. Sometime after Asriel's birth, royal scientist Dr. W.D. Gaster creates the Core, a source of magical electricity for the underground. After completing his invention, the scientist disappears.
Into the
No one knows
underworld?
what happened to Dr. Gaster, but Alphys becomes the new royal scientist in his absence. Even though they found a new home, Chara doesn't exactly intend to stay in the underground. No, their goal is to
why
harvest
would you
a
want
monster
to?
soul so they can get vengeance on the humans in their village.
What? I thought this was a child. What?
We don't exactly know why Chara wants to attack humanity, but a need for revenge guides Chara's actions from here on out. One day, Chara and
I mean, it makes sense. If they were cast out from their village originally, maybe their family was killed, and then they were cast out, they fell down the hole into Monsterland, and they get adopted. Maybe that's what happened.
decide to make a pie for Asgore. But
Nice.
instead of using butter like the recipe calls for, they
Is this important?
accidentally use buttercups, which turn out to be poisonous. Asgore becomes very ill,
Oh,
but eventually
no.
makes a full recovery. It's
Oh,
later
okay, he's fine.
implied that this was Chara's attempt at taking Asgore's soul. After Chara's possible failed murder attempt, they formulate a new plan to get their revenge by
Jesus
poisoning
Christ.
themselves. The poison takes effect quickly. Chara tells Asriel that their dying wish is to see the golden flowers of their home village on the surface one last time. With that, Chara dies, and their soul is absorbed by Asriel.
Oh my god! In order to get revenge, they literally murder themselves. This child is deranged.
Now combined, Asriel and Chara share control over Asriel's body. Asriel carries out his siblings' final wish and takes their body to the surface to see the flowers once more. Once he emerges, he comes face to face with a mob of furious humans. The humans take one look at Chara's body and immediately assume that Asriel killed them to take their soul. The humans attack, mortally wounding Asriel.
Oh,
In
this
his
is
last
just-
moments,
Guys, this could all be explained if we just sat down, had a cup of tea, just let it blow over a little bit.
flees back to the underground with Chara's body and dies. His body
Oh,
turns
Christ.
to dust and spreads across his father's garden in the capital, leaving only Chara's body behind. It's
There's the
later implied
flowers.
that this too was another plot of Chara's, that their plan all along was to combine their soul with Asriel's, so they could use his body to attack the village.
Maybe the humans are the bad guys.
There's also some evidence that when the humans attacked, Chara tried to take control of Asriel's body to fight back, but because Asriel's will won, they fled. Outraged and
His will
heartbroken
wasn't
by the
strong
loss
enough.
of his children, Asgore declares war on the humans once more, vowing to kill anyone who sets foot in the underground. And if humans were still foolish enough to venture into the underground, he would take their souls to break the barrier and wage war on the surface.
Jesus Christ, Asgore, it's just like a bad pie, that's
Ariel
all.
is disgusted by this violent plan, so she leaves and takes Chara's body with her. Now alone
No
in the
separation.
ruins, Toriel gives Chara a proper burial. She vows to protect any human that falls into the underground from Asgore. After Asriel's death. In the years following Asriel's death, 6 humans fall into the underground and all 6 of them die. Asgore uses each of their souls to become extremely powerful.
6 souls, like 6 people dying, I get it, like it's a big deal. But if you're waging a big war, like 6 guys in a war, you could probably harvest that pretty easily.
Someday he'll be strong enough to break the barrier, but not yet. In the meantime, some other notable events take place. While the light of the
Shifty eyes.
surface is still out of reach, the underground gets the next best thing. An extremely charismatic robot star. Alphys creates
Hey!
Metatime, and the robot soars to superstardom in the underground. The monsters welcome any distraction from their dark lives. After spending her childhood training with Asgore, a badass fish lady named Undyne is appointed the head of the Royal Guard. Around the same time, the Skeleton Brothers, Sans and Papyrus, show up in Snowdin.
I wonder if they're gonna explain why Sans is so, like, astronomically powerful.
Determination experiments.
I know his boss battle is, like, insane. He has some, like, weird time stuff. I've seen people trying to beat the boss battle. He acknowledges every different timeline when you die. It's really weird. If they can explain that, I wonder if they will.
To the underground, the surface dwellers finally wise up and, like, put some caution tape up or something because
Warning! You will die if you go down here. Like, no cap, bro. You will be
no
dead.
other humans fall into the underground for a very long time. But Asgore still needs one more soul to break the barrier, and he's starting to get a little desperate. He tasks Alphys with finding some other means of breaking the barrier. Alphys follows blueprints from an unknown source that might be Gasper. She learns how to use the DT extraction machine to take the determination from human souls that Asgore has already reaped. First, Alphys attempts to unlock the power of a human soul by injecting determination into dying monsters' bodies. But the determination is too much for their bodies to handle, so the monsters melt together and form amalgamates.
Oh, nice. That's good, actually. That's what you wanted to happen. That's a big improvement.
Her
Good
first
job, guys.
experiment is a failure, but Alphys has another idea. What would happen when a being without a soul gained the will to live? She's got a massive crush on Asgore, so to impress him, she decides her test subject will be the first golden flower that blooms in his garden. She
Oh no, that's where Flowey comes
executes
from,
the
huh?
experiment, but it seems to be a failure as well. However, the flower disappears a few days later. In the wake of these failures,
sure that
Alphys'
won't cause any
anxiety
problems.
skyrockets. She stops all of her experiments and vows never to speak of them again. The era of Flowey.
Yeah, here he comes.
Turns out that whole flower experiment wasn't a failure after all. See, Asriel wakes up in his father's garden, now in the form of, yes, a golden flower.
That's Asriel? Wait, what? Wait. Why is that Asriel? Because he's been injected with the determination of humans, okay, but why would that form into the personality of the king's son? Oh, because the king's son was buried in that place and it bloomed into a flower. Oh, okay.
He starts to cry, and Asgore finds him. Asgore is overjoyed to kind of have his son back. He comforts the flower,
Still
and the
kinda
two
weird.
spend weeks and weeks together. Unfortunately, Asriel can't feel any love in his new form, but he's longing to feel something. So he leaves to search for his mother in the ruins. But even after
okay.
finding Toriel, he still can't feel love. Sure, he's got this new flower form, but because he might not be able to feel any emotions at all, Asriel figures he has no reason to live.
Oh, that's so sad. That's just so... This is not okay. Asriel has been dunked on every single step of the way. Honestly, I think he did nothing wrong. No matter what comes up next, it's probably valid.
He decides to end his life.
Oh, no, dude, don't do that. Don't do that. That's not good. I did not... No, I meant like if you do bad things to other people, not to yourself. Oh God.
Can't go through with it. He's too terrified at the thought of what would happen to him after he dies if he has no soul. Through the strength of his
It's okay, I'm Ginger. I know exactly how you feel.
determination, he gains the power to reset. From here on in, Asriel goes by Flowey. For those that don't know, saving,
Gains the
loading,
power to
and
reset.
resetting are both game and story mechanics in Undertale. Basically, only Flowey and then later Frisk have these abilities. Saving and loading work as you would think. If the player dies, they will return to the save point either automatically or by loading. Resetting brings the player back to where they first got the reset ability. To be clear, loading and resetting are not time travel. Some of the beings in the world will have foggy memories of the past, a kind of deja vu, but Flowey remembers everything. And so, Flowey resets the timeline thousands of times, doing everything he possibly can do in the underground. Eventually, he starts to kill monsters, pretty much out of boredom. Before long, Sans
I mean, what else are you gonna do if you have infinite time and no compassion? I'm surprised he didn't immediately start murdering them, like frame
starts
one.
to catch on to all of Flowey's resets.
That is actually a very interesting human experiment. If you had the ability to save and load reality, how many people would immediately just do murder? Just frame one. I wonder. I actually don't think I want the answer to that.
Sans tries to put a stop to Flowey's killing rampages, and he actually succeeds a number of times. Unfortunately, the timeline just gets reset every time, so all of Sans's work is for nothing.
Oh, so that's how he knows that the timeline is getting reset, because he has these foggy memories. And that's how he knows that Frisk is doing, like the player character is doing it later on. But why is he so strong?
Cycle continues. Sans becomes depressed.
Does he just
can't
grind?
See the point in trying to stop the violence, knowing that everything can be reset. Flowey eventually gets bored with the killing and just lets time keep moving without him. While time is moving forward, several important events take place. First off, Sans befriends Toriel through the ruins wall. She makes him promise to protect any humans that come from the ruins. Undyne, meanwhile, gets promoted to the head of Royal Guard. Her friend Papyrus really wants to join too. She tells him that to become a Royal Guard, he needs to capture a human, which is basically a wild goose chase at this point, since no humans have been seen in the underground in years. Soon after, Undyne and Alphys meet for the first time at the garbage dump. Alphys has been spending a lot of time there since giving up on her experiments.
At the garbage dump, I can think of some worse places to be, I
The
suppose.
shame of her failure makes her feel like garbage, so
Oh, that's why she's there. Okay, that makes sense.
naturally, the dump is sort of a safe place for her. I mean, geez, at least, pick a nice restaurant or something and sit by.
Is everyone in this game depressed? Like, the king's depressed because his child's dead and he's trying to, like, murder humans. Flowey's depressed because he feels no compassion. Sans is depressed because he knows he can't do anything to stop violence. She's depressed because she can't do any actual, like, science. Undyne is probably having a great time, I assume.
Meal or something. That's just, oh god, that's so depressing. Around this time, Muffet starts her famous spider bake sale. And
This is such a weird, like, way to go about a timeline, which is like, yes, the king started to make his plans to assail the surface world and slaughter the innocent. And then there was a bake sale around the same time.
now, we finally get to Undertale. Okay,
Ooh, yeah, I love that.
We finally arrived at the main events of the game. Frisk, the player character, falls into the underground and lands right on top of a bed of golden flowers, which also happens to be Chara's grave. They
Is Chara gonna worm a little bit of the soul into Frisk?
encounter a strange talking flower there. It's Flowey. Since Frisk is a human, they have much more determination than Flowey. On top of that, Frisk also has the powerful ability to save and reset.
I wonder, does Flowey still have that piece of Chara's soul in the body that Flowey's in now? Because it was Asriel and they were like combined into one? Is that still like a
Threatened
thing?
by this newcomer, Flowey tries to kill Frisk, but Toriel saves them at the last second. She leads Frisk through the ruins and teaches them
Oh, that's gotta. I wonder if she knows. Does she know? I mean, she probably does know that that's her kid. Oh, that's so messed
how
up.
puzzles work in the underground. Frisk explores by themselves for a bit until their path is blocked by Napstablook, a sad ghost. Frisk manages
Everyone
to
is
cheer them up.
sad.
He's feeling so good that he shows Frisk his cool hat before clearing the path. Eventually,
hat.
Frisk ends up at Toriel's home.
Oh no,
Toriel
not a pie.
assumes that Frisk will live with her forever. It's the only way for a human child to stay safe in the underground, after all. But Frisk insists on trying to find a way to escape to the surface. Toriel guards the exit of the ruins and forces Frisk to fight her. Even though she uses her magic against the human, Toriel never actually hurts them. When she realizes she won't convince Frisk to stay, she stops fighting. Frisk can choose to kill or spare Toriel. But since this is
It seems like a bit of an over-exaggeration to murder her at this point. Even if you're going for a genocide run, like the straight-up immediate slaughter of a very innocent, nice person just seems like it's a bit
the
deranged.
Pacifist timeline, they obviously spare her. Just as Frisk leaves the ruins, Flowey confronts them and antagonizes them. He says that even though Frisk managed to spare everyone for now, they won't be able to keep it up. And then he does that creepy laugh thing and disappears. Snowdin. After emerging from the ruins, Frisk meets Sans, and after a series of bad puns, they meet Papyrus as well. While trekking through all of Papyrus's traps and puzzles, Frisk meets and spares a number of monsters along the way, including Snowdrake, Icecap, Lesser Dog, and Jerry. Frisk
Lesser
comes
Dog is
across
my
Doggo and
favorite.
learns about special blue attacks. After petting the dog and freaking him out, Frisk pays a visit to the Nice Cream guy.
I love dogs so much. I was walking home from the gym today and I saw a dog, except he looked very angry and he walked right up to me and then he barked at me and almost bit me, so I didn't have a great time. It was
Frozen
unfortunate.
treat that warms your heart. After getting past the doggy couple mini-boss, a few more
Oh, they're
puzzles,
so cute.
and an encounter with the greater dog, Frisk makes it into Snowdin town. Frisk can wander
Edward
through
Snowdin.
the town to their heart's content.
I bet you could find all sorts of classified confidential documents in there.
Eventually, they walk to the edge of town and come face to face with Papyrus in a dramatic snowstorm. Papyrus wants to be Frisk's friend and is about to offer his friendship, but he can't. He must capture the human so that he can pursue his dream to be part of the Royal Guard. Reluctantly, Papyrus and Frisk enter the second boss fight. If Frisk's health drops to 1 HP, Papyrus won't kill them. Instead, he'll announce that Frisk is now weak enough to capture. He takes them to the capture zone, which is just the garbage dump.
Damn, he really treats you like a Pokemon. He lowers your health to 1 and then catches you.
Frisk easily escapes and attempts the fight with Papyrus again. After the battle goes on for a while, Papyrus decides to take pity on Frisk and spares them. The snow clears and Papyrus laments on how he can't even capture someone as weak as Frisk, and how he has no friends. Aww.
Oh, that's so
Once
sad.
Frisk offers their friendship, Papyrus cheers up.
What a
Papyrus
loser!
tells Frisk why the Royal Guard is trying to capture a human, and then waits back at his house to go on a date with Frisk. He doesn't have to wait long.
Wait, what? Go on a date with Frisk? Hold on. Frisk is 11 to 13 years old? Papyrus, you've been clapped up by Nonce Patrol and we'll be arrested immediately.
Because Frisk circles back and goes on a very silly date with Papyrus. It ends with them just being pals, but it was a real good time. And Frisk gets Papyrus's phone number before leaving town. Nice. Waterfall. Almost
Literal, actual nonce. What's going on?
immediately after leaving Snowdin, Frisk can choose to go to Grillby's with Sans. After an ominous conversation with Sans, Frisk continues through the waterfall area. They overhear Papyrus telling Undyne that he didn't capture the human. Frustrated, Undyne says that she will take matters into her own hands. A monster kid follows Frisk through the waterfall, and the kid's just dying to see Undyne. Yeah, I see what you guys did there. After Undyne tries to confront Frisk a bunch of times, they fall into
That's a
the
kind of a
trash
scary
zone.
moment.
There they find discarded anime and
Oh, they're gonna
battle
find the
Napstablook's
professor
cousin,
there.
the Mad Dummy. Then Frisk goes to Napstablook's house and just kind of vibes a bit. Frisk makes a pit
Nice.
stop in the Tem village before reaching the end of the waterfall area and squaring up with Undyne. Undyne pursues Frisk all the way to the Hotlands where she passes out from the heat. Cause, you know,
Is that like a random like water thing?
she's a fish lady, of course. Frisk takes a cup from a conveniently placed water cooler and dumps it on Undyne, reviving her. Undyne is so
Hey.
grateful that she invites Frisk back to her home, which just happens to be where Papyrus is waiting for Frisk. He thought it would be fun for the three of them to, you know, kind of hang out. Anyway, Undyne
Does
gives
he really jump out the window there? Dude, you just smashed the window.
details about her past with Asgore and why she can't let Papyrus into the Royal Guard. Then she accidentally burns the house down in an intense cooking lesson. Still
come
probably
on.
went better than any meal I've ever tried to cook. Hotlands. Frisk
What's wrong
leaves
with you?
Undyne's flame-filled home and heads to the lab in the Hotlands.
She doesn't even
where they
seem
meet
like
with
she's bothered.
Alphys for the first time. She's awkward but nice and says that she's been watching Frisk since they left the ruins. And then suddenly, Metaton breaks through the wall and forces Frisk into a dangerous game of
Game
trivia
showtime!
that Alphys helps
go!
Frisk cheat at. Frisk continues through the Hotlands where they guest star on a life-threatening cooking show. Haha, come on down. Play
Jesus
matchmaker for a
Christ.
pair of nights and defuse a bunch of bombs while reporting live for Metaton's news broadcast. And after all that excitement, Frisk takes a break at the Spider Bake Sale and has to battle Muffet. You know, just because. Then Frisk makes it to the MTT Hotel and meets Bratty and Catty, as well as Burger Pants, who objectively has
Jesus
the best name ever.
Christ.
The core is right behind the
What's
hotel.
wrong with his
and
face?
It's full of puzzles. But not to worry, Alphys talks Frisk through the whole thing. Finally, Frisk
I can understand why people like this so much. I haven't even made it to the end of the video, but this game is so unconventional, silly, but also serious. Like, it has strong emotional moments, but it just subverts your expectations at like every single moment that it possibly can. It's just so, it's like a refreshing breath of air, even though this came out like 7 years ago.
battles Metaton and then Metaton EX after they flip the switch. The battle is being broadcast naturally, and its ratings are soaring. As Metaton's body begins to fall apart, he announces that this will be his final show in the underground. He starts
Goodbye,
taking
British soldier.
calls. Love and support from Napstablook and other fans pours in. Metaton is so moved by their support and decides that he will stay in the underground after all. Then his batteries die, and he
No.
passes out, ending the battle. But
Can we
not
get
to
him some
worry,
true
Metaton's
Duracell?
superfans,
Some
Alphys
Energizer?
checks on him after the battle to make sure he's okay. At
Good.
the exit of the core, Alphys reveals that a human soul isn't strong enough to return home. They'll also need a monster soul, so Frisk will have to kill Asgore. the capital.
No, we
To get
can. Can we not like Amazon Prime one? Surely there's somewhere else we can get a monster soul from.
Pacifist ending, the player must have at least one neutral ending first. So to keep things moving, I'm gonna condense the first neutral ending and then pick up from there. After going through the capital, defeating Asgore, and sparing Photoshop Flowey,
What is that? Jesus Christ!
also known as Omega Flowey, the pesky flower pops back up and asks the player why they spared him. He tells the player that they could get a better ending if they go back and load their save file.
It's part of the canon of the game. You gotta reset.
Now on to the rest of the true pacifist ending. Once Frisk loads the game, they end up outside of the doorway to the barrier. Frisk then heads back to befriend Dr. Alphys, as per Flowey's suggestion, and before heading to the lab, Frisk sees Undyne and Snowdin, and she asks Frisk to deliver a letter to Alphys for her. Turns out to be an unsigned love letter asking her out, and
Oh, that's amazing.
Alphys mistakenly believes that Frisk wrote it. And
What? No, come on.
so Frisk goes on another date. Alphys
Can Frisk not speak or something? Also, Frisk is like 13 years old. Stop it.
decides to take them to the garbage dump. She and Undyne tend to go there a lot. Once Undyne shows up, she realizes that this whole thing was a mistake. Alphys admits to Undyne that she's been lying to make herself sound cooler. Undyne doesn't care, she just likes hanging out with Alphys, and she wants to help Alphys learn to be happy with herself. So, she hires Patterrz to be her life coach. Despite all
Oh
the
my
help from
God.
friends, Alphys realizes
This is like
that
a
to be
fan
her
fiction.
best self, she has to face her mistakes. Frisk then enters the True Lab. The True Lab. There, Frisk
True
comes face to
Lab.
face with the Amalgamates. Frisk
Surely
also
you can't
discovers
spare these
tapes from
things.
the royal family's past and learns about the Buttercups incident as well as Chara's death. Alphys tells the whole truth about the determination experiments and decides that she is done hiding her past. She leaves Frisk to finally send the Amalgamates home. Once Frisk is back in the elevator, they get sent to Asgore's throne room to face him once more. The end. All the monsters in the underground come together to try to protect Frisk from Flowey, but
Oh, it's like the end of 5th generation Pokemon where all the gym leaders come to help you at the end. This is so cute. Wait a minute. Why is Sans getting dunked on by Flowey? Sans is like the Omega final boss of Genocide, and he's the most crazy final boss of all time. Why is he
just
having
takes
trouble
all
with
their
this?
souls before revealing his true identity, Asriel Dreamer. Frisk
Oh,
battles
he's an
Asriel,
adult.
who transforms into his god of hyperdeath form halfway through the fight. After
Jesus
dying
Christ.
over and over again, only to be revived through the strength of their determination. Frisk
Nice.
begins to save their friends' souls from Asriel. Toriel, Sans, and the whole crew are forced to fight Frisk until they're able to help them remember who they are. Eventually, Frisk saves all their friends' souls from Asriel, but there's still one soul left to be saved. Asriel's.
But didn't Flowey not have a soul?
Frisk begins to see flashbacks from Asriel's past and his relationship with Chara. After Frisk tries to save Asriel over and over again, he finally relents, and the real Asriel appears before Frisk. With the
Yeah,
crew's
he did
healed
it!
souls inside of him, Asriel is finally able to feel again. He apologizes for all of his evil deeds, explaining that he loved Chara so much that when he lost them, he also lost his way. He decides to release all of Frisk's
Is
friends,
Chara
destroy the
non-binary?
barrier,
They keep referring to Chara as they. I assume that's because of non-binary.
and give monsters and humans the chance to peacefully coexist again. Frisk
Oh, what a
forgives
great
Asriel
ending.
for what he's done and gives him a big hug. When Asriel is gone, Frisk wakes up surrounded by their friends. None of them remember what happened, but everyone is happy to be safe once more. Frisk is given the option to go back through the underground and say their goodbyes before returning to the surface. If Frisk walks all the way back to the start in the ruins, they find Asriel
they
on
are.
the bed of yellow flowers. After speaking
Chara
with
still dead?
Asriel, Frisk returns to the barrier and leaves the underground with their friends by their side. As they all watch the sun rise, Asgore asks Frisk to be the human ambassador for the monsters. This will
This
be
is
the
literally a
dawn of
12-year-old
new
you're
era
talking
of
to.
peace. One by one,
At least I think it's a 12-year-old. I have some conflicting numbers on this. It's between 12 and 15.
all of Frisk's friends leave until Toriel is the only one left. Frisk can then choose to either stay with Toriel or strike out on their own. And after
Pusher.
a quick scene showing the monster's new life on the surface, the credits roll. Man,
Wait. So the humans just decided to stop being racist to the monsters because some 13-year-old came out and was like, nah, dude, they're like totally cool now. There's no problem. And the original problem with being scared of a monster that gets a human soul is just, they're just gone now. They're just not scared.
what an ending.
Damn, that's kind of crazy. I really do understand why people love Undertale so much. It's truly something special. We can also take a look at Deltarune if you guys like this. If you'd like me to take a look at Deltarune, please let me know. You can tell me by subscribing to this YouTube channel and also subscribing to my main channel because I upload there and stream every day.